Hello and welcome back to another Doctor Who ratings analysis video. This one has been in the works for a little while because thanks to Doctor Who magazine last month and the recent issue published in the past week, we now have a full list of the plus 28 day figures for Doctor Who Series 14, Season 40, Series 1. So we're going to put all our data together, including our overnight numbers, our pre-transmission numbers, our plus 7 day figures. We're going to have a look at various percentages, and we're going to try and make sense of all the numbers and deliver a full ratings analysis for Ncuti Gatwa's first year as the Doctor. If you have not seen earlier videos where I discussed the overnight and plus 7 day ratings for everything from Space Babies through to Empire of Death, feel free to go back and have a look elsewhere in the channel. We've also done episodes where we've compared those overnight and plus 7 day ratings with other eras of Doctor Who's history and also with other programs on the BBC. But in this video I'm going to be breaking down our plus 28 day figures and adding those to our narrative about Series 14. So Space Babies, its plus 28 day rating was 4.43 million. The Devil's Cord, 4.59 million. Boom, 4.21 million. 73 Yards, 4.63 million. 3.82 million for Dot and Bubble. Rogue achieved 3.89 million. The Legend of Ruby Sunday, 3.83 million. And Empire of Death, 3.92 million. Those were the numbers published by Doctor Who magazine over the course of the last 2 issues, and they come from the Broadcasters Audience Research Board, the BARB. What's particularly interesting is that you can see how from Space Babies to the Devil's Cord, we had the Devil's Cord achieving lower overnight and plus 7 day figures, but then the plus 28 day figure was above that of Space Babies. Also of interest is the fact that the first half of the series got above 4 million and the second half was under 4 million. In graphical terms, it looks like this. So we can see how the gap from our plus 7 to plus 28 day from green to purple is wider, significantly wider for the Devil's Cord than it is for Empire of Death. Our overnight ratings are at the bottom, but you can see how the trend line is fairly consistent and matches when we include the plus 7 ratings. It's our plus 28 day ratings that are slightly different from that. I've mentioned the Devil's Cord, how that goes up instead of continuing the downward trend from Space Babies to Boom. 73 Yards remains the peak, as it had done with our plus 7 and overnight ratings. And you can see how there's a slight plateau in the second half of the series, a good amount of consistency, and then a slight uplift for the series finale, Empire of Death. This slide is a similar way of demonstrating the same information. We've got our overnight rating in blue at the bottom. Our increase to our plus 7 is in green. So fairly consistent around the sort of 1.4 million mark. And once again, that increase from plus 7 to plus 28 is significantly higher in the Devil's Cord than it is for Empire of Death. So 680,000 viewers added for the Devil's Cord from day 8 to day 28, when compared to only 230,000 for Empire of Death. As a whole, the Ncuti Gatwa era, we've got to bring in the Church on Ruby Road. Now, obviously, it's slightly different because that was broadcast on Christmas Day, more available audience, obviously higher numbers. But I think it's interesting to not only note the drop from the Church on Ruby Road to Space Babies, but also the fact that, as you can see, our plus 28 day ratings for Series 14 are below the overnight figure for the Church on Ruby Road. So let's break all those episodes down individually. We started Series 14 with Space Babies, broadcast on the 11th of May on BBC One, but also available from midnight on the 11th of May in the UK to watch on the BBC iPlayer. Now, the overnight number Space Babies achieved was 2.55 million. That increased to 4.01 million over 7 days, adding 1.46 million viewers to that overnight total, an increase of 57%. So pretty strong percentage increase from overnight to 7 day. But within that plus 7 day figure, we also have our pre-transmission number, and that totaled 136,000 viewers. So 136,000 viewers watched on the BBC iPlayer before Space Babies was broadcast on BBC One. That equates to 9% of that 1.46 million. So within that increase, it was about 9% is actually those that watched it before it was transmitted. Beyond that, our plus 28 day figure came out at 4.43 million, giving us an increase of 422,000 viewers from 7 day to 28 days, another increase of 11%. So strong percentage increases. Our overall change from overnight to plus 20 day was 1.88 million, and this means that our non-overnight viewer figure is 42%. So in graphical terms, 58% of Space Babies plus 28 day audience came from the overnight rating. So this is why we put a lot of emphasis on Doctor Who's overnight ratings, because as we'll see in all bar one episode, it makes up the majority of the audience. So let's try another one. The Devil's Chord, broadcast on the same day, so followed Space Babies, but achieved a slightly lower overnight figure of 2.42 million viewers. The plus 7 day figure was also down at 3.91 million viewers, which was an addition of 1.49 million and about a 62% increase. So strong percentage increase once again. And within that increase, we had 114,000 people watching it in advance on the BBC iPlayer, which equates to about 8% of that 1.49 million. However, as we've seen earlier, our plus 28 day increase was steeper, and it went up to 4.59 million over 28 days, an increase of 681,000 viewers. So quite a lot of people engaged in this particular episode beyond that initial 7 day period, and that was a 17% increase. In a previous video I compared the overnight and plus 7 ratings to programs that BBC One broadcast in the same time slots in 2023, and we noted that the percentage increases from overnight to plus 7s, etc., was nowhere near what Doctor Who's managed to achieve, and that's what makes a big difference for Doctor Who in the plus 7 and plus 28 day ratings categories, is that people want to watch it even if they've missed the original transmission, which could not be said of repeats of game shows on a Saturday night, as we saw in 2023. So overall, our increase from overnight to plus 28 day was 2.17 million, resulting in our non-overnight viewership of 47%. So 53% of our plus 28 day figure comes from that overnight audience. Bucking that trend, however, was Boom. That was broadcast on the 18th of May, the second week of Doctor Who, and that kicked off with an overnight viewer of 2.04 million. That increased to a plus 7 figure of 3.58 million, which is adding 1.54 million viewers, or 75% on top of the overnight audience. So really big percentage increase from overnight to plus 7 day. Within that, though, our pre-transmission number was down. It was at 78,000, and that was only 5% of our overnight to plus 7 day audience. Our plus 28 day figure came out at 4.21 million, so that's adding another 632,000 viewers over day 8 to day 28, which was an impressive increase of 18%. Now, as a result of this, that means our increase from overnight to plus 28 day figure came out at 2.17 million, and that means that the majority on this occasion actually were people that watched it outside of the BBC One transmission. So only 48% of our plus 28 day audience comes from the overnight figure. So the argument that's made that more people are watching Doctor Who on iPlayer or on catch-up services at a time that suits them is true for Boom, but it's not true of any other episode in Series 14. Let's see another one then. So 73 yards from the 25th of May. Overnight figure was 2.62 million, increasing to 4.06 million on the plus 7 day. That was an increase of 1.44 million and about 55%. So a 55% increase from our overnight to get to our plus 7 day figure. But within that, we had 144,000 viewers watching in advance on the BBC iPlayer, equating to 10% of that overnight to 7 day increase. So about double what Boom had achieved the previous week. Our plus 28 day figure of 4.63 million, that is an addition of 572,000. So again, another week where Doctor Who's adding over 500,000 viewers from day 8 to day 28, and that's a healthy percentage increase of 14%. Overall then, our overnight to plus 28 day increase was 2.01 million, resulting in a non-overnight viewership of 43%. So once again, we're back on the trend of 57%, the majority of the 28 day figure coming from our overnight number. Moving on to Dot and Bubble from the 1st of June. So that achieved an overnight figure of 2.12 million. The plus 7 day total came out at 3.38 million, so adding 1.26 million viewers, or 60%. So again, strong percentage increase from overnight to plus 7 day. Within that, 164,000 viewers were watching in advance on the BBC iPlayer, and that equated to about 13% of that increase from overnight to plus 7 day. So as you can see, more and more people are starting to get into a habit of watching Doctor Who in advance of the BBC One transmission, and those numbers are steadily increasing. The plus 28 day figure came out at 3.82 million, so only adding 437,000, so just under 500,000 this time from day 8 to day 28, but still a healthy percentage increase of 13%. That leaves our overnight to plus 28 day numbers at 1.7 million and our non-overnight figure at 44%. So yet again, 56% of our plus 28 day figure comes from our overnight number. So once again, just to reiterate, the fact that people are making a case that more people are watching Doctor Who on the iPlayer and on catch-up services, not on transmission, to excuse lower overnight figures, doesn't stack up when we actually compare the final numbers. Moving on to Rogue, so that achieved 2.11 million overnight. Our plus 7 day audience was 3.52 million, so an increase of 1.41 million from overnight to 7 day, and that's again another healthy percentage increase of 67%. So very strong percentage increase. Our pre-transmission breaks the 200,000 viewers barrier, so 210,000 viewers watched in advance on the BBC iPlayer, and that equated to 15% of that 1.41 million. So that increase from overnight to 7 day, 15% of that came from people that watched it in advance. So again, more people starting to get into the habit of watching Doctor Who before it's transmitted on BBC One. Our plus 28 day figure came out at 3.89 million, so adding another 369,000 viewers on top of our plus 7 day figure. So you can see how that number's starting to trend downwards, so our increases are becoming slightly smaller, and that percentage was about 10.5%. Overall then, our overnight to plus 28 day came out as 1.78 million, meaning that our non-overnight viewership was 46%, or in other words, 54% of our plus 28 day figure was from our overnight total. The penultimate episode of the series, The Legend of Ruby Sunday, first part of the two-part series finale, broadcast on the 15th of June and available from midnight on the BBC iPlayer. Overnight, that was the lowest overnight figure of the series at 2.02 million, but it did rise to 3.5 million on our +7 day, which was an increase of 1.48 million, so just under 1.5 million additional viewers added from overnight to 7 day. And that was a 73% increase. So again, another really strong percentage increase, but that carries the caveat because our overnight figure was relatively low, and in fact, Legend of Ruby Sunday, the lowest overnight figure of the series. Also within that is the fact that our pre-transmission number was nearly 300,000 viewers. So 297,000 viewers watched The Legend of Ruby Sunday in advance of BBC One transmission, equating to 20% of that 1.48 million increase from overnight. You might remember at this time the official social media channels were encouraging you to watch in advance of BBC One transmission to avoid spoilers. So it seemed to work because we have that increase from pre-transmission numbers of 20%. Plus 28 day numbers came in at 3.83 million, so adding another 335,000 viewers and a healthy 10% increase. But you can see how that totals reduced. That total increase has reduced as the series has gone on. Overall, our overnight to plus 28 day increase was 1.81 million, meaning that our non-overnight figure was 47%, and that 53% of our plus 28 day number came from our overnight figure. Reiterating the point once again that the overnight figure is really important to how the plus 28 day number turns out. The series finale, Empire of Death, broadcast on the 22nd of June. Overnight achieved 2.25 million. Over 7 days achieved 3.69 million, so we had an increase of 1.44 million viewers, and that was a 64% increase, another strong percentage, again with that caveat of slightly smaller overnights resulting in a bigger percentage increase, but still pretty strong. Within that, our pre-transmission number was 283,000 viewers, or again 20% of our overnight plus 7 day total. So strong audience watching in advance to avoid spoilers. Our plus 28 day number came out at 3.92 million, which is only an additional 226,000 viewers. So we saw how the gap had very much narrowed from our plus 7 to plus 28 day when compared to the Devil's Court, but still a 6% increase from our plus 7 day. Overall, our overnight to plus 28 day figure had increased by 1.67 million, resulting in a non-overnight total of 43%, and therefore 57% of our plus 28 day audience was made up of our overnight figure. So more people watching on BBC One, and that's why BBC One transmission is really important to these numbers. Just to average a few of those categories, so our overnight average for the series was 2.27 million, and a plus 7 day average of 3.71 million, meant that our increase from overnight to plus 7 day was 1.44 million, around about a 64% increase. Again, when compared to the programs that were being shown on Saturday evenings in 2023, nowhere near the sort of level of percentage increases. Pre-transmission, on average, 178,000 viewers watching in advance on the BBC iPlayer. This is the first year that Doctor Who has done this, so it'll be interesting to see in 2025 how these numbers increase or decrease. Maybe more and more people will get into the habit of watching Doctor Who in advance of BBC One transmission, and we might see a shift in those percentages where more people do indeed watch on the BBC iPlayer before it's shown on BBC One. But as we've pointed out, for all bar one episode, Boom, the percentages were very much weighted in favour of the overnight audience. And that increase of 12.5%, again, we'll see if that changes in 2025. Our average plus 28-day figure of 4.17 million gave us an average increase of 460,000 viewers from plus 7 to plus 28 days, or about a 12.4% increase. So again, pretty strong increase from 7 to 28 days. A strength of Doctor Who when compared to, as I say, shows that had been broadcast on BBC One in the same time slot in 2023. And our overnight to plus 28 day increases was just under 2 million, 1.9 million, and our non-overnight 45.6%. So 54% of our average audience was coming from the overnight viewership. Again, just our little line chart highlighting our plus 28-day ratings. You can see how first 4 episodes are above 4 million, and then we hit a plateau between 3.82 million to 3.92 million for plus 28-day ratings. So Doctor Who's definitely found a consistent audience in the latter half of the series, and it's more stable than the fluctuating first half. Unfortunately, though, these plus 28-day ratings are among the lowest that Doctor Who's ever posted. Now, we only have 28-day ratings from last Christmas, the Peter Capaldi Christmas special, to present, because 28-day numbers were not counted prior to this. And we can see that Legend of the Sea Devils still remains the least watched Doctor Who episode over 28 days as recorded at 3.7 million viewers. But the next 8 episodes in that bottom 10, if you will, all come from series 14. Of particular note on this chart, though, is the fact that you've got Dot and Bubble at 3.82 million and Legend of Ruby Sunday slightly ahead at 3.83 million, and yet the chart position is quite a bit different. So Legend of Ruby Sunday was at 15th in the chart compared to 21st for Dot and Bubble. So again, that's reflective of the other things that are on television in that particular week. That chart position, though, over 28 days, relatively consistent. We've got 3 9s, a 6, 2 15s, a 13 and a 21. So it looks quite dramatic on a chart, but all around the sort of 12th position over 28 days. It's not a bad place for Doctor Who to be. So just to summarise those series 14 averages, overall our overnight rating averaged at 2.27 million. The pre-transmission total was 178,000 viewers. Our plus 7-day rating was 3.71 million and a chart position of 17th. If you go back to our plus 7-day ratings video, go into a bit more depth about those chart positions. But for comparison, our plus 28-day rating was 4.17 million and the chart position came in at 12th. So see how Doctor Who gradually improves the longer it's in the chart when compared with other television offerings. A lot of information to take in there, I appreciate, but hopefully you enjoyed that, and if you did, please give the video a like and don't forget to share and stay tuned for the next video, because we're now able to compare plus 28-day figures with previous times in Doctor Who's history that also have plus 28-day figures. So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, and make sure you're alerted the next time there's another video. But in the meantime, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.